There's nothing to be scared about.
We are talking about the movie Discarnate, which is also known as Shapeshifter. This one is directed and co-written by Mario Sortini. And this one stars Thomas Kretschmann. You've got Josh Stewart in it as well, who you recognise from the Collection and Collector movies, among other things as well. And yeah, let's talk about what this film's about. So ultimately we have a group of scientists that are creating some type of serum. Now this, what it does is it kind of allows you to essentially go between the kind of the our world and the other side, so to speak. Now as to the reasons they're making this is a little bit unclear, I will be saying. It comes from this kind of like, it's derived from this like herbal medicine that they sort of find from this kind of this woman who makes herbal remedies, and she kind of comes along with a kind of team of scientists to sort of study this in an old dilapidated house. Now when they're kind of there, obviously they're taking the injections, and obviously weird things start to happen, and it seems to, you know, we're able to see, or these characters are able to see not only ghosts, but also some type of creature that is bloodthirsty for them. So that's the kind of your basic plot here. So let's talk about Discarnate. Now, as I'm recording this review, the current IMDb score for this is 4.1 stars. I've got to say, I think that's a little low, because I actually think this is a fairly solid horror movie. So I've got to say that seems low to me. It does have a couple of issues, but we'll come on to that, but I don't think it warrants that side, that bad of a score. So what works for me? It's got a great cast, I've got to say, first of all. I think the acting here is pretty... I love Josh Stewart. I think he's such a great character actor. And, you know, I like his character's arc in this film. Because initially when we see him, he's like the company guy. He's not the kind of like the typical kind of corporate stooge. But I think his character evolves and changes along with that. I like the character of this kind of herbalist. So it's a different sort of style of character. Thomas Kretschmann's always actually quite interesting to us, and I like the fact that in this group we have a couple of brothers as well, so they have a kind of a personal connection. I quite like all the acting here was relatively solid, I've got to say. So the acting, first of all, was good, and I like the kind of the characters. Next up, the effects. I thought the effects were fantastic in this movie. So we have two kind of things ultimately. We have ghosts. Then we have this sort of creature, and the alternate name will give you an idea about where it's going with this one. And I've got to say, the effects that they use here on this creature are really good. It looks like it's very hard to make out what it is by design, and it kind of looks like a lump of clay that's kind of moving around and then kind of changing and stuff. But it's really effective and looks really cool. You know, it's quite horrifying. You know, it's pretty horrifying at times, and it's really effectively shot. So when we see the kind of like, you know, when it appears and stuff, we see a reasonable amount of it on screen as well, I've got to say. There's some really kind of like good shots here. You know, the camera work, the lighting, and all of the set design all looks really good on it, I've got to say. And I have to say, there's as the movie progresses, there's a kind of a twist, sort of a twist, or more of a kind of the status quo sort of changes, and I kind of quite like that as well. And I was actually intrigued with the kind of the work that they were doing and how it kind of affects like the sort of spiritual realm and how they're kind of interacting it. I actually thought that was I actually wanted to see a bit more of that. There is ghosts in it, although I don't really kind of focus too much on that. And I would have liked to have maybe seen a little bit more of that and kind of been able to see a little bit more kind of interaction between our kind of, you know, our scientists versus these kind of things. And it was it. I thought it was good. The pacing of it is good, and it kind of ramps up the tension. What doesn't work for me, I mean, these seem more nitpicks than anything else, but I've got to say they seem very unscientific. in regards to the way they were written. They just don't seem like scientists to me. Not badly acted, but they just don't seem very professional. They just seem very kind of slapdash in their approach. I mean, they just seem to be injecting their stuff, themselves into this kind of, with this sort of fairly unknown kind of solution. And some of the reactions to what they're seeing is a little bit kind of cliche at times, a little bit kind of more Hollywood rather than you'd really expect. Not all of there's one scene where it involves this young female scientist, and when she sees something, she's properly horrified. That was good, but there are other occasions when, I don't know, it just seems a little bit, you wouldn't really think it'd be like that. And the movie's a little bit over-reliant on jump scares at times. It just goes into the old one too many times, and you're thinking, it's kind of getting a little bit kind of like, it's getting a little bit tiresome now, I've got to keep having these jump scares. But I've got to say, I actually enjoyed this movie quite a lot. I actually thought it was a solid horror movie with a kind of a neat premise. It maybe didn't capitalise on exactly the promise that it could have had. Like I said, I wish there was more to do with the kind of the ghosts. And it just seemed to me, I didn't know why they were making it. I mean, why would a pharmaceutical company be interested in a drug that would make you be able to communicate with the other side? It didn't really seem what they would be doing with it, if that makes sense. It was never really kind of said. So that was kind of like, I don't understand what the end product, what they're trying to do. And there's a kind of a personal connection that becomes evident in the movie that I just thought was, that seems like it's coming out of a little bit, well, it seems like it's something that would be coming up. If there's a personal connection between one of the characters and what's happening, and apparently no one else knows about it, no one else has access to people's address history and things like that, doesn't make a lot of sense. But you know, with these kind of nitpicks aside, I still think it's a solid watch. It's entertaining, with some good special effects, with some kind of like quite memorable sort of characters. So I would say give it a watch if you're a horror fan. I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. So I actually think this is a lot better than there's led to believe on IMDb. I think that's a little bit of an unfair rating on there, if I'm completely honest. I mean, it's not going to break boundaries or anything like that, but it's definitely worth a watch if you're a horror fan. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.